So, welcome everyone. ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്ന വിഷയം മിസ്യൂസ് ഓഫ് റൈറ്റ് ഓഫ് റിലീജിയൻ, മിസ്യൂസ് ഓഫ് ഫ്രീഡം ഓഫ് റിലീജിയൻ ബൈ ആൻറ്റി കൺവേർഷൻ ഫോഴ്സസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആൻറ്റി ഇന്ത്യ ഫോഴ്സസ് എന്നുള്ള സബ്ജക്റ്റാണ് നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. അതിൽ ആൻറ്റി കൺവേർഷൻ ലോ അല്ലെ കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷണൽ റൈറ്റ്സിനെ പറ്റി കുറച്ച് ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് ഡിസ്കഷൻ നടത്താമെന്നുള്ളതാണ് വിചാരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇന്ന് ഡിസ്കഷൻ ആക്ച്വലി ഇംഗ്ലീഷിലാണ്. ഐ എം ജസ്റ്റ് ഗിവിങ് എ ബ്രീഫ് ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ഇൻ മലയാളം. ഗ്യാൻ പ്രകാശ്, അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് ഗ്യാൻ പ്രകാശ് സുപ്രീം കോടതി ലോയറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹമാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഗസ്റ്റായിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. അദ്ദേഹം വരുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഉടനെ തന്നെ ഡിസ്കഷൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. ഞാൻ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനും ഒന്ന് പിങ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ജസ്റ്റ് വെയിറ്റിംഗ് ഫോർ ഹിം ടു ജോയിൻ അസ്. മീൻ ടൈം ഞാൻ യൂഷ്വലി പറയാറുള്ളത് പോലെ തന്നെ നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒന്ന് പിങ് ചെയ്യുക. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയാവുന്ന എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒന്ന് പിങ് ചെയ്യുക. മാക്സിമം ആൾക്കാർ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തോളട്ടെ. കുറച്ചുകൂടി യൂസേഴ്സ് ആക്ച്വലി വന്ന് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണ്. നമ്മുടെ പ്രോഗ്രാമുകളെല്ലാം തന്നെ നമ്മൾ റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അതെല്ലാം യൂട്യൂബിൽ അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഗസ്റ്റുകൾ വരുന്ന പ്രോഗ്രാം അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. ഇന്നലെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്ത സാമുവൽ കോഡിൻ്റെ പ്രോഗ്രാമുകൾ കൂടി ഓൾറെഡി അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് 4 ക്ലബ്ബുകളുണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് കായലോരത്തിലാണ്. അതിൽ കായലോരം, അഷ്ടമുടി തീരം, ഫൺ ടൈം ഫോർ യു, അതിലെ ലൗഡ് വോയിസ്, അങ്ങനെ 4 റൂമുകളുണ്ട്. ആ 4 റൂമുകളും നമ്മൾ ഒന്ന് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യണം. ആ 4 റൂമുകളും ഒന്ന് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുക. അതുപോലെ മോഡറേറ്റേഴ്സിനെ ഒന്ന് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുക. കാരണം ഇപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഇത് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് നമുക്ക് ഉള്ള വ്യൂവേഴ്സിനെ എല്ലാവരെയും പിങ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ വ്യൂവേഴ്സിനെ എല്ലാവരും പിങ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്, ഫോളോവേഴ്സിനെ എല്ലാവരും പിങ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. അത് ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള റൂമുകൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് നിങ്ങളെ നോട്ടിഫൈ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് സഹായിക്കും. അത് അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ കേട്ടിരിക്കുന്നവരും ഒന്ന് പിങ് ചെയ്യുക, കാരണം മാക്സിമം ആൾക്കാർ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തു കൊള്ളട്ടെ. സുജിത് ജി, ഞാൻ മെസ്സേജ് ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഗ്യാൻ പ്രകാശിന് മെസ്സേജ് ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്.
ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ ഒന്ന് വിളിക്കാം.
അതെ അതെ, ഒന്ന് പറ്റുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഒന്ന് വിളിച്ചോളൂ. ഞാൻ അനൗൺസ് ചെയ്തോളാം. നമ്മൾ യൂഷ്വലി ചെയ്യാറുള്ളത് പോലെ തന്നെ ഇന്നും ഏതാണ്ട് 2 മണിക്കൂറിൻ്റെ പ്രോഗ്രാമാണ് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതിൽ ആദ്യത്തെ ഒരു 45 മിനിറ്റ് 1 മണിക്കൂർ സബ്ജക്റ്റിനെ പറ്റി എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാനും പിന്നത്തെ 1 മണിക്കൂർ അതിലെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് എടുക്കാനും വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുന്നത് ഒരു ആൻറ്റി കൺവേർഷൻ ലോ, അതേപോലെ കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷണൽ റൈറ്റ്സ്, ഫ്രീഡം ഓഫ് റിലീജിയൻ എന്നുള്ള കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷണൽ റൈറ്റ് ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ 25 പ്രോപ്പർലി ഒന്ന് എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാമെന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. അതിൽ ഒരുപാട് കൺഫ്യൂഷൻസ് നിലവിലുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം. എത്രത്തോളം പ്രൊപ്പഗേഷന് അലൗഡ് ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു ഫെയ്ത്ത് മാത്രമേ അൾട്ടിമേറ്റ് ഫ്രീഡം ആയിട്ടുള്ളൂ, റൈറ്റ് ടു പ്രൊപ്പഗേഷൻ വിത്തിൻ ദ ലിമിറ്റ്സ് ഓഫ് ദ ലോ എന്നുള്ള അതിൻ്റെ ലിമിറ്റ്സ് എന്താണ് എന്നുള്ള പല കാര്യങ്ങളും ഇതിൽ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അതെല്ലാം വളരെ ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് നമുക്കൊന്ന് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും. അതുപോലെ ഇപ്പോൾ കർണാടകയിൽ വളരെ റീസെൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് വന്നിട്ടുള്ള ആൻറ്റി കൺവേർഷൻ ബിൽ നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. അതിലെ പ്രോസ് ഓൺ കോൺസ് ആക്ച്വലി പ്രോപ്പർലി ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും. ഇനിയൊരു ലോ അങ്ങനെ വരികയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതൊരു ഓൾ ഇന്ത്യ ലോ വരികയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ എന്തെല്ലാം പ്രോസ് ആൻഡ് കോൺ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്തെല്ലാം ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കണം, ഉണ്ടാവരുത്, കറണ്ട് ബില്ലിൽ ഉള്ള ന്യൂനതകൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ്, ഇതേപോലുള്ള പല കാര്യങ്ങളും നമുക്ക് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും. അതിലൊക്കെ ഒരു ക്ലാരിറ്റി വരുത്തുവാനായിട്ടും സാധിക്കും.
അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെ തുടങ്ങും വെച്ചാൽ, ഗ്യാൻജിയുടെ അടുത്ത് ഫസ്റ്റ് ഈ ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ 25 to 28, അതായത് നമ്മൾ ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ ക്രിട്ടിക്കലായിട്ട് ഈ റൈറ്റ് ടു റിലീജിയൻ, റൈറ്റ് ഓഫ് ഫ്രീഡം, റൈറ്റ് ഓഫ് എക്സ്പ്രഷൻസ്, നമ്മൾ അതിനെപ്പറ്റി കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഒരു ബേസ് സെറ്റപ്പ് ചെയ്യുക. എന്നിട്ട് വി വിൽ ഗോ ഇൻ ടു ദി പുതിയ ബിൽസ്. എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ ഇത് രണ്ടും എല്ലാവർക്കും കൺഫ്യൂഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. എനിക്ക് പ്രീച്ച് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള റൈറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്, എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ റിലീജിയനെ പറ്റി പറയാനുള്ള റൈറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. അതൊന്ന് നമ്മൾ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ക്ലാരിഫൈ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുക്കാം. ബിക്കോസ് ആർട്ടിക്കിളിൻ്റെ സെക്ഷൻസ് എന്തൊക്കെയാണ്, ഓരോ സെക്ഷൻസ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇംപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യണം, വേർ ഡസ് ദി, എവിടെയാണ് ആ ലൈൻ ഡ്രോ ആവണം, പിന്നെ അവിടുന്ന് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ കൺവേർഷൻ, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഈ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് കൺവേർഷൻ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ ബില്ലിൽ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം, അതിൻ്റെ പരിമിതികൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് നമുക്ക്. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇപ്പം എന്താ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു കോൺഫ്ലിക്റ്റ് വെച്ചാൽ, എനിക്ക് പ്രീച്ച് ചെയ്യാം, പക്ഷെ ഇതുവരെ എവിടെയാണ് ആ ഫ്രീഡം എൻഡ് ചെയ്യണം, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇൻ്റർഫിയറൻസ് തുടങ്ങണം, സോഷ്യൽ ന്യൂസൻസ് ആയിട്ട് എങ്ങനെ മാറണം, അതൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. അപ്പോൾ അതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഓരോ സെക്ഷനായിട്ട് രവിശങ്കർജി നമ്മൾ ഗ്യാൻജിയുടെ അടുത്ത് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഗ്യാൻജി കൃത്യമായിട്ട് പറയാൻ വരും. ചില കേസസ് മൂപ്പർക്ക് ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കലി ഈസ് കം. രവിശങ്കർജി.
ഓക്കെ, ഗ്യാൻജി, വെൽക്കം ടു യുവർ റൂം.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. I'll give a brief introduction, and then we can start the session. Like I was explaining before, we usually have our rooms run for about 2 hours, or sometimes actually runs a little bit extra, like 2.5, depending upon the guest availability. And we usually do the explanation of the topic for the first hour, 45 minutes, first hour, according to the guest. Today it is you. And later on, actually, we will open up for hand raising and take people for questions. So generally, we take actually 5 people at a time and go through the questions. And by the end of it, according to time, we can open up again and take more questions. And people who are actually coming up for questions, please note that you can ask the question. And once your question has been answered, you would be sent back to the audience, which is what we usually do. Kindly cooperate with us on that. And another thing is, actually, I will give you a brief introduction about our rooms. We have 4 rooms in Clubhouse. One is Kaayaloram, which we are currently using, Ashtamudi Theeram, Fun Time for You, and Loud Voice. And these are our rooms. And depending upon the topic, we use either of these rooms as per the topic that we handle. Also, kindly follow all the moderators. Before actually opening any program, we usually ping all our followers. It would help us to notify you while we are running such rooms. And we usually run with actually every week, actually on weekends, we run rooms with the guests handling specific topics. And we are planning to have that actually in the coming weeks also, the coming weekends also. Gyanji, to explain actually our scenario today, as we had discussed, our topic is misuse of freedom of religion by anti-India forces. The context of this topic is that currently we are having a protection of conversion bill that is happening in Karnataka, which has created a lot of confusion among us. And in Clubhouse itself, actually, there are a lot of people came up supporting it as well as objecting against it. And these objections in general has come up from obviously from the minorities, and they had expressed their concerns about this bill. And today, actually, I hope actually we can go through each and every point and how it would protect the conversion, and or generally people call it the anti-conversion bill. In either case, actually, we can go through each points and find out what are the specifics about this bill. Also, we have Article 25 and, if I'm not mistaken, 28, which is the right for freedom, the freedom of religion, right to the freedom of religion. That also actually we can discuss on those constitutional rights, where most people doesn't know what is the extent of these points. I mean, Article 25 and 28. What are the extents of it, and how much of it is possible is within the law, and how much it is not. So that also you can bring some clarity into that. And in general, there are some anti-conversion bills that has been passed in other states also. And if time allows, actually, we can go through that too. And in general, we are of the opinion is that most of the time conversion happens not in the proper way, and it is used generally utilizing the ignorance of the people, and goes to the elites and actually other groups in Hinduism and other religion, and they utilize actually their ignorance, and it's not done in the right manner. So how does actually our law protects these people from utilizing their ignorance? And generally people doesn't have much idea about how much actually our law protects this. So I hope actually now I have made a brief introduction. Sujiti, is there anything that we should add before Gyanji can proceed?
Yeah, thank you, Ravishankar ji. So, Gyanji, we will structure this discussion in 3 levels. First, it'll be great if you can explain this most contested argument in the terms of the right to freedom to religion. We have specifically Article 25, 26, 27, 28. There is a lot of chatter about it. Many people want to understand where does it stand, where is the right of an individual, and where does the right of the individual ends. particularly in the context of the claim that lot of religion, those who are followers of lot of religion claim that their religious book permit them to preach. There are also very interesting Supreme Court verdicts, particularly the 1977 verdict, which is used fundamentally for defining the right of propagation and right of preaching. So it'd be great if you can just first take through these critical points, because this will form the foundation for us to discuss about the new bills and the nuances. And we also want to eliminate any fear that lot of the our people who from other religion like Christians and Muslims who share life, who we live with, who many of our friends who live shoulder to shoulder, we want to remove a lot of apprehensions from their mind. So we want to use this session as one to expose the anti-nationals. How do they use these gaps in our article, in our constitution? How they misexploit it? How they then run anti-India? And in this three framework, we will discuss about the new bill, Gyanji. So the floor is yours. So please start with these critical points on the right to freedom of religion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jay and Sujit and everyone on the panel. I will commence my talk with the freedom of religion as it is enshrined in the Constitution. So, I'll commence with the provisions of the Constitution itself, which are from the preamble, because the preamble of the Constitution of India uh, goes on to read that India is a secular socialist republic, and these two words were inserted in the preamble by way of 42nd Amendment uh, in the time of emergency by Indira Gandhi government. And when these two words were inserted in the constitution, then it was not defined as to what secularism is. And the Supreme Court went on to interpret it in many ways that Indian secularism is different from the Western secularism and so on and so forth. And in the same line of interpretation, Supreme Court went on to say that Hindutva is a way of life and it is not a communal word in the case of Manohar Joshi, whereby this Manohar Joshi was from Shiv Sena government in Maharashtra, and in their election manifesto they mentioned Hindutva as their political agenda. So that was challenged, and High Court said that it is against the election rules to make Hindutva as an election agenda. But Supreme Court held that no, it is well within the ambit of Constitution, and Hindutva is not a communal word. So the issue is multifold, in the manner that on one side we have the secularism, on other side we have Hindutva, and on third side we have provisions in the part 3 of the Constitution, which read as a freedom of religion from Article 25 to 30. So when we go through these articles, we will find few peculiar things in this. If we read Article 25 of the Constitution, we will find that it talks of that subject to public order, morality, and health. All persons of this country, all the citizens, they are entitled to freedom of conscience and right to profess, practice, and propagate religion. So the crucial dichotomy which exists in the Constitution especially after 42nd Amendment, is that how come a country be secular and at the same time it allows a propagation of religion? Because propagation of faith is an integral part of Abrahamic religions. Without propagation, their religion is not complete. So when this Constituent Assembly, it discussed this article as to whether this propagation of religion should be there in this freedom of religion part of the Constitution, it went on to say, okay, we can allow it. Because at that time, the word secular was not at all there in the Constitution. And even this insertion of this word secular was debated in the Constituent Assembly, but it was declined by the Constituent Assembly itself. So the need of word secular was not at all warranted by the Constituent Assembly itself. So the issue here emerges is that on one side we are asking for the secular state, and on another side we have this propagation, profession, and practicing of a religion. So there has been missions, there has been I should say kind of missionaries activities in whereby whole of the state has been converted to Christianity. Mizoram is the example, Nagaland is the example, and there are anti-India forces which are working in the tribal areas, and they want to divide Indian society in the name of communities by saying that STs are not Hindus, SCs are not Hindus. For them, nobody is Hindu, and even they go on to say that there's nothing like Hindu religion; it's all Brahmin religion. So there are new interpretations coming every day and night, and the purpose is that they want to convert whole of India according to their own whims and wishes. So this propagation of religion is a big challenge. And when we proceed further, this propagation of religion aspect goes on to the extent that the minorities especially are given much more rights to establish their educational and cultural institutions. So that is another big problem. Article 30 of the Constitution says that all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. So, according to this article of Constitution, what we find? We find madrasa culture in the country. We find that Quran is taught in the to the students there, and they believe in a particular mindset, and that temperament is far away from the science, which the fundamental duties and directive principle of state policies in the Constitution talk of. So we have got madrasa board. So the another issue is that when you extend this freedom of religion from propagation level to a level where it is inserted in the veins of in the blood of the young students in the name of madrasa culture, in the name of Quranic verses, then it becomes a problem. It causes problem for the public at large, because in Islam particularly, there is no concept of country. They have the concept of ummah, means Muslim brotherhood. So when we find the slavers of these madrasas, you will see that they are not at par with the slavers which are for the students of CBSE board or ICSE board or state boards. So they learn they learn in a on a different pattern, and when they grow up, they talk the things which are quite contrary to what a citizen of India should be. So we are in a way propagating the anti-national ideas to them. For them, they derive their nationalities from the invaders, from Muslim sultans, from Muslim shahensas who looted this country, who raped the women of this country, who plundered and did everything nonsense here. So this is the problem with the constitution, that the dichotomy exists in the name of secularism, the dichotomy exists in the name of profession of religion, the dichotomy exists in the name of establishment of educational and cultural institutions. And on the contrary, when it comes to this majority population, then there are certain kind of indirect restrictions whereby the state is protected from giving funds to any of the educational institution which preaches or which propagates the idea of Hindutva. So that is also a problem. So on one side, we are protecting the freedom of religion for the minorities, be it linguistic minorities or be it religious minorities, and on other side, we are exploiting the majority community, especially the Hindutva. That is why we see that we have got the Minority Commission in India. But if anything happens qua the Hindutva, Hindu faith of this country, there's no governmental body or there is no commission established by the government of India to protect the faith of Hindus in this country. So the issue is that when you are giving, when you have established a commission for protection of the minority, then why shouldn't there be protection of majority? Because among the Hindu faith also, among Hindus also, there are more than some 127 sects. So shouldn't those faith should be shouldn't those faith be protected by the government of India or the state government? On the contrary, we see that we see that wait for why. So what we see on the contrary is that the temples of Hindus, they are being administered by the state governments and even central governments in some cases. So the issue is that if we have a secular country, then why the only temples are being governed by by the state governments or by the central government? So these are the issues which are to be read, and a critical analysis has to be done as to the freedom of religion, which is mentioned in Article 25 to 30 of the Constitution of India. This cultural and educational rights which are mentioned in Article 29 of the Constitution, we will find that this 29 and 30 has created a big havoc. And whenever we see that any reformatory action is being taken place in the Constitution or by way of enacting the laws in this country, be it triple talaq or anything like that, then immediately we will find a PIL in the Supreme Court which ask for questioning that amendment or setting aside that amendment or declaring that amendment as ultra vires the Constitution on behalf of these provisions of the Constitution. So the provisions of this Constitution from Article 25 to 30 are being used to kill the spirit, the basic structure of this Constitution.
Uh,
So, yes.
Ganji, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am just going to expand on the few critical points that you have said. You have now, to summarize, what you're saying is there is a dichotomy because of the word secularism and between the right to freedom of religion and the right of culture and educational rights. So which means Article 25 to 30, there is a lot of overlapping happening and this is getting exploited, and there is, what is happening is, as you would call it, as selective things are happening. That is the point that you're enforcing, right, Gyanji?
Sure.
Ganji, I want to just read out few points because you are the best person to explain us what is the meaning of these words. Now, when you say freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. So there are four critical words being used here: freedom of conscience, free profession, practice, and propagation. Now, what does these four words mean? Where does the individual right stop here, or the right of any particular institution which claims to be part of any religion? Because it will be very important to understand these words, because as we discuss the bill, then people will understand why these have been stated in the bill. So the four words is freedom of conscience, free profession, practice, and propagation. And also it'd be great if you can add what is Supreme Court's 1977 ruling on what does propagation mean, because it cannot lead to conversion. So if you could just expand on this, then we will go to the other 3 points. Gandhi, thank you.
See, because Article 25, it mentions three words as restrictions to the freedom of religion. One is subject to public order, morality, and health. So these are three restrictions. But what has happened is that when we read it further, it says, I will quote this Article 25 of the Constitution, Clause 1, subject to public order, morality, and health, and to other provisions of this part. All persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right to freely and the right freely to profess, practice, and propagate religion. So, on one side, you say that our country is a secular country. Now, what is the definition of secularism? Secularism means, in the modern context, secularism means separation of religion from state. The origin of this word secular comes from the France, where they said that church should be separated from the state. State should not interfere in the matters of this church should not interfere in the matters of a state. And in Indian context, if we see, then the religion should be separated from the state. But here, Article 25 of the Constitution, subject to public order, morality, and health, is allowing you to profess, practice, and propagate the religion. Now, and it also gives you the freedom of conscience. So, this freedom of conscience is uh, this is a broader concept of conscience, means justice, equity, and good conscience. What we say it in law means a person, what a person feels and thinks about himself. That is conscience. Atma ki awaj. That is conscience. So this freedom of conscience has been given in the constitution. At the same time, it says that you have the right to profess. So professing the religion means you can influence the other person. You can influence the other person to adopt a particular faith in all manners possible, simply bearing a restriction that it should not be against the public order, morality, or health. So, day and night, if a child is being taught in madrasa that Quran, according to Quran, earth is flat, so he will believe till his an adulthood that it is flat. So that is the problem, because you are granting fundamental right to profess and then to practice the religion. So not only to profess, but you are also allowing to practice these blind faiths. And apart from that, that goes on to the extent that you have the right to propagate. So that is one more step ahead. So these three words, propagation, profession, and practicing a particular faith, goes in sharp contradiction to the concept of secularism. That is the problem. So this profession or being means, profession means teaching something, and propagate means it is a much more broader, means bringing it to the public at large. And then practicing means, so whatever you profess, you need to practice that. So what remains there? In a theocratic nation, we do all these things, and in Indian constitution also, as per the Indian constitution, we find the same thing. So what remains the difference between a theocratic nation or a secular nation like India? So this is the problem. Now, in Supreme Court, there was a case whereby it said that freedom of religion enshrined in the constitution does not bar any anti-conversion law. Yes, there is a ruling of Supreme Court with regard to this. 2-3 rulings are there. So and these anti-conversion law, popularly called as, they exist in some 8 or 9 states. So there we have this anti-conversion law in Arunachal Pradesh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, and Uttarakhand. So it's a welcome measure, because the conversion in these states was going at a mass scale. Today, as we see in Punjab also, it's going on mass scale. And these are actually people convert for a rice bag. That is also the problem, because they hardly understand the ideology, they hardly understand what this faith actually is. They are being, I should say, misled by the missionaries. They show some kind of witchcraft also in certain cases. So what happens is that whole of the states has been converted to a particular faith by way of
Gyanji,
this misleading information. Yes.
I mean, I just want to actually touch on one point since you are explaining the constitution as well as the laws passed by other states. We had just mentioned that constitution gives the right to propagate the religion. So if the states pass some bills which actually limit the amount of conversion, or which limit the conversion activities, it can be contested in the Supreme Court, right, or in this and the High Courts, right? Since the Constitution gives protection for propagation, how is
Sure.
that possible?
See, under the Constitution of India, there is a concept of judicial review. Judicial review means, in the case of Keshwanand Bharti, the Supreme Court had held that there are certain basic features of the Constitution which, in turn, from frame this basic structure of the Constitution, and that basic structure or those basic features of the Constitution, that those cannot be amended. So this was the ruling in Keshwanand Bharti's case. So whenever any amendment or any law is passed by the Parliament, there is a process of judicial review. The court, the Supreme Court, or any constitutional authority, be it a High Court also, it can either suo motu or on a PIL being filed before it, can can look into the wires of this act or any amendment which is made in the Parliament. Wires means it should not be against the basic structure of the Constitution. That has to be tested at the floor of the court. So, for example, recently we saw that NJSE Act. So, court said that no, it will hamper the separation of power, and it will lead to interference with the judiciary. So, that is also these wires of the a particular act is challenged before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court can look into it. That's the thing.
Gyanji, if I have to just add to the point that you said, but very clearly in the 1977 ruling, Reverend Stainless versus Madhya Pradesh and Orissa, Supreme Court has held the right to propagate under 25 does not include right to convert, isn't it, Gyanji? Therefore, are we now saying that when these people come, when specific segments of people come, particularly when they come and do religious conversions on the street, they walk into your houses, I mean, for certain reasons, I'm not using their names here. I hope you understand. But when they come on the face and they do it, and like you said, you quoted examples of what has happened in Northeast, where they have gone ahead and converted what they call in their own descriptions animists, or not the Hindus. Now, when the Supreme Court has said very clearly in 77, right to propagate under Article 25 does not include right to convert, how are we to expand on this, Gyanji? Now I have somebody walking into my house and claiming I have the right to come and talk, preach about my God. I have the right to convert. How is this to be contested by ordinary people? Because this is where a lot of them get caught.
I would like to add, generally, actually, they bring pamphlets or books which malign the main religion, or actually misquoting actually them to create confusion and all. I just want to add to what Sujit has said.
Sure. See, the thing is, we can classify Indian states into two categories now. That ruling of 1997, where the Supreme Court said that freedom of religion or freedom to practice, propagate, and teach this religion does not include the right to convert. So that is the ruling. But there are only 9 states which have went further, and they have penalized the provisions of conversion. So I quoted those 9 states. So far as these states are concerned, Arunachal Pradesh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, and Uttarakhand. In these states, this conversion by way of some kind of allurement or anything like that, that has been penalized. So if anybody in these states come and he tries to convert a particular person, then you can lodge an FIR against him, and you can bring him to law. But so far as other states are concerned, that ruling is very well there, as passed by the Supreme Court of India, but there is no penal provision to punish a person or to bring such a person to law. But still, I should say that if any person who in the name of freedom of religion tries to convert a person, then still the provisions of IPC are there, which can be used in a manner to thwart these persons, to check these persons. Because one such provision is that, but you will have to take assistance of some local lawyer. For that, you can invoke the provisions relating to the breach of peace, or creating enmity between the two communities. So this is 153A, and this breach of peace is also 107 and 151 of the CRPC. So there are provisions. So by invoking those provisions, but there you will have to need you will need some assistance of some local lawyer, so that he or she, that lawyer can trap that person in this legal
So
angle.
what can you just repeat those sections on the penal code, Gyanji? Because they were when we were running rooms earlier, people were asking about it. It'd be great if you could just state some of those penal codes.
See, one provision is 153A of IPC. It says that whoever commits the offense promoting enmity between different groups on the ground of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, and doing acts prejudicial to the maintenance of harmony. So, whoever by words, either spoken or written, or signs by visible representation or otherwise, promotes or attempts to promote on ground of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, caste, or community, on or any other ground whatsoever, disharmony or feeling of enmity, hatred, or ill will between different religions, racial, languages, and regional groups, or caste or communities. So that is a punishable offense. So it is section 153 of 153A of IPC. So you can invoke that, because whenever these missionaries or any such people, they try to influence that guy, and they want to convert that particular family or persons, what they do is that they criticize and condemn the other faiths. So you can bring them to law by way of these provisions also. One technicality in this section is that for prosecuting under this section, sanction is needed from the government. So it will be a little political also. But if you have approach in the state government, then sanction can be taken, and the concerned police can take action against it. So 153 is there, then breach of peace is there. Breach of peace is the petty this CRPC provision. So if there is some argument or something like that, then the person can be arrested for breach of peace. So that provision of can also be invoked. Then you have 295A of IPC, where if anybody insults or outrages any religious feeling, or there is deliberate or malicious act, then he can be prosecuted for under 295A also. So these are the provisions which can be invoked even if there is no anti-conversion law there. So that is crucial.
Thank you, Gyanji. Now, very interesting.
And
You
and
said
and one more thing I would like to say here, that after this amendment by Modi government in this SC/ST Act, if some of the members from this SC community comes in your favor, then he can also implicate such missionaries or these people in under SC Act also. Because after this amendment, that thing is not confined to Hindus only. It can be it can be made applicable to other faiths also.
Yanni, so very interesting point you said. Insults and outraging any religious feelings. Now, Section 295A. So, does this also include when somebody is sitting in a place and talking vociferously about the religious feeling. Now, how do we differentiate this? Because a lot of these people come and claim that we are debating. We are taking a particular religion and we are reading your religion and we talk about your religion, the negatives in your religion, and we are trying to point it out. Now, that's one kind of argument they put, and they use obnoxious terms of particular religion and say, hey, see, these are the negatives. Now, does this apply to anybody? For instance, a learned person. Now we have a purohit, we have a mullah, we have a preacher. All of them have a certain status given by the denominations. A priest is given a denomination, a mullah is given a denomination as a religious head. Now, how do you differentiate this? Because if it is a garb of saying I'm debating and they continue to abuse, then will this sections apply? Or is it just that somebody sits continuously and on your face keeps abusing you? How do we understand these situations and how do we go ahead and protect our feelings using these laws, Gyanji?
Ganji, your mic is on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yes. See, the Constitution of India allows propagation, practicing, and preaching the religion, but it nowhere allows condemning or criticizing the another faith. So, if someone is preaching that their faith is very good and this that, it's okay. But once it jumps into the another faith's issues, then it can be questioned. So my right ends where your right begins. That is the principle of law. So if I have a right, then I also have a duty, and vice versa. So the thing is, if someone is propagating his faith, be it, let's say, whatever faith it is, so but if the moment he jumps into my faith and he starts criticizing or misinterpreting the things, then he can be prosecuted under the law. Your right ends where my right begins. That's the principle of law. So he cannot criticize anything like that. He cannot insult my gods. He cannot do anything which is insulting to my faith, anything like that. So this is the uh, key point of that.
Thank you, Gyanji. So, bottom line is you can talk about the greatness of your God, but you cannot come around and abuse my God or my religion or X or Y religion in any other form, whether it's literature, whether it is semiotics, whether it is diagram, whatever that would be. Am I summarizing this correctly, Gyanji?
Sure. See, this is actually the gray area of law. So when we have to work on ground, we have to interpret the law in our own way. So the thing is that these things can be interpreted both ways. But I told you the core principle of law means my right in the moment your rights ends when where my right begins. That's the core issue.
Thank you, Gyanji. So I so now you have comprehensively covered between 25 and 30 right now, which means we will move into stage two, which is about discussing this bill. Very important because people have, the first thing, Gyanji, is people vested. We want to this is where we want you to highlight about how the anti-national entities, who are we to, how do you define who is anti-national, how do we identify them, and particularly how are they playing in terms of misconstruing this bill. For example, the bill is very clearly called as, for example, it's called the Karnataka Protection of Right. It is called Protection of Right to Freedom of Religious Bill. But they deliberately malign the name of this bill and go about saying anti-conversion, anti-conversion. Now, could you please start expanding on this? Who are these anti-nationals? How do they use religion as a ground? Though you talked about through educational institutions, how they look, because they have the right to propagate, they take certain aspects of the religion, misinform, mispropagate, misinterpret, and that becomes seeded into practice by those people who learn about this religion through their various institutions, and then they continue to exhibit those attitudes which will be against the constitution. Like you have a lot of instances, if you can quote, Tukde Tukde gang, those kind of things. So it'd be great if you can just talk a little bit more about this and your experiences of various instances that you have seen. Thank you, Gyanji.
See, the thing is that when we talk of India, that is Bharat. So, what is Bharat? Bharat is a nation whereby we have adopted a particular kind of lifestyle. We have adopted a culture for centuries, and those values, those that civilization, that cultural aspect, that idea of Bharat, that has prevailed in this country, and that has created a particular lifestyle in this country. And with the time being, with the passage of time, we have even reformed ourselves. We have been able to inculcate a new thought process, and we have been Soniki Chidiya, Golden Bird. We have been Vishwaguru. So this is what we achieved as a nation in centuries. Now, after Muslim invasion and British era in this country, we have witnessed a, a havoc whereby the people are being converted for rice bags, where the peoples are being slaughtered simply for the purpose of conversion, where the idea of pluralism does not exist because their faith does not permit that. This word secular, it was introduced in 42nd amendment during emergency when the opposition was in jails, and even thousands of years before that, we as a nation, we as Hindus respected every other faith. We have oldest mosques in this country. We have old churches in this country. We respected, we invited, we welcomed every faith in this country, be it Parsis, Jews, who were slaughtered everywhere. So this is what Hindutva is. This is what Bharat is. So Bharatiyata is synonymous to Hindutva, and this is what Supreme Court said in Manohar Joshi's case, that they are synonymous. This is a way of life. So now what has happened is that by misinterpreting or misusing the provisions of the Constitution, as I narrated a little bit before, they are trying to mislead the masses of this country in a fashion which goes against that very culture, that very idea of Bharat. We have witnessed that the areas, or there are some 550 spots in this country where the majority population is not Hindu. And what we witness there? We witness mass level migrations of majority population. We witness terrorism. We witness Sharia courts in the name of NGOs. We want we witness a kind of separatist tendency there, be it in the name of autonomy or anything like that. We witness a kind of tukde idea there. So this is anti-nationalism, and the basis of that anti-nationalism is the anti-Hindutva approach. As I said, that Bharatiyata and Hindutva are synonymous. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they all were parts of Bharat because Hindus used to live there. And along with these Hindus, the same culture of pluralism, tolerance, and everything prevailed there. But today, what we witness in these countries, we witness extremism, we witness a killing of minorities, we witness intolerance towards the other faith because Hindus are no more there. Same is the case in Kashmir. Same is the case in Assam, and Kerala is also the example. You can say that the demographic changes, the drastic demographic changes in these parts of country, they have created an imbalance. They have created a feeling of separatist ideology in this country.
Gyanji, since we are actually talking on this topic, I would like you to touch on Lao Jihad, which is being discussed a lot these days. And
Mhm.
in general, the Lao Jihad actually works like the two people are in love and they would like to marry, and for marriage, actually, the girl would like to actually convert to the other religion. Since it comes to the marriage, the court usually allows that to go ahead. So how does actually this the bills could stop that? What are the provisions in these bills actually that could foster such a move? I mean, foster actually protection of the woman in this country, as well as actually the Pentecostals actually who also uses similar methods, not exactly Lao Jihad, but actually similar methods in which they propagate and everything, like they propagate through the hospitals and other places, and misinform people, give them give them actually like expectations which is not natural. And how are these problems can be addressed with these bills? I'm just actually adding few points to the to discuss.
See, the demographic changes, as I told that there are some 55 districts and 550 spots in the country which have become mini Pakistan or Bangladesh. So there is growing separatist tendencies in these areas, and this is due to the drastic demographic change. Now, demographic change takes place in many ways. For example, it takes place in the form of population explosion. We will find that a particular community is having much more children, be it some area of Mewat in Haryana, or you can see that in Kerala also. If you go through the data, then you will find that a particular community and the population of a particular community has increased many folds in last 50 to 100 years. Same is the case with this Assam. So now, apart from that, what has happened is that there are plans and programs of these jihadi and missionary organizations, and these organizations, they are very much, I should say, in a planned manner. They are trying to increase the population of their community at any cost. They are not worried about the development aspect. They are not at all bothered about the education for their children. They are not at all bothered as to the fate of their community with regard to the developmental and all these aspects. They are more concerned about increasing their population. They have very rude idea. So what we witness is that there is illegal immigration in the country. You will find Bangladeshis everywhere, and according to the statement from a former CBI director, some 5 crores of Bangladeshis illegal immigrants are there in India. And this love jihad, as you said, this is also one form of uh, I should say plan of Jamaat Islami and all these jihadi organizations to spread this their faith among the masses. You can find many colonies, especially in Bombay. Perhaps the name of the colony is Allah Colony. So there you will find ghettos of Bangladeshis, and even the policemen, they don't dare to visit those areas because they are very highly concentrated. They are very highly concentrated population of Bangladeshis. In the same manner, see, if I ask here as to what are the few, can anyone name few cities of Bangladesh? I think that hardly anybody would tell 4 or 5 cities of Bangladesh. But so far as these you will find in remote areas of Kerala or Gujarat or Assam or many states, you will find that in remote areas there are Bangladeshis working. So this is the demographic change, because Before they come in India, their election card is ready, their every document is ready, and there are contractors who are working to give them employment. You can find rickshaw pullers. They are working as rickshaw pullers, so they are giving you cheap labor. But that is causing a big demographic change, and these people, there have been cases where the girls from certain communities, they are being targeted to marry these jihadis and these illegal immigrants. This is the idea of love jihad. So, and it is not only in India. You will find that that kind of uh, plans and programs in England also, and other countries also. There it's called grooming jihad. So the problem lies with the faith itself, to me, because once a faith says that if you get a non-Muslim converted to his to Islam, then you will get the shabab of building 40 mosques. So this is the idea, or you will get uh, I should say this 72 hoods and everything nonsense, whatever they say. So that creates a kind of problem in the society, and the illiterate masses of their community, they work for these things. So it has obviously created the problem in the modern day context, because earlier the people were illiterate. They hardly knew that what Quran says, or what Islam says, or what Christianity says. Today everybody is literate, and everybody is educated, and once anyone who is educated, he goes fanatic. That creates a much more problem. You will find that most of these terrorists, they are highly qualified. So the shutters of application, the shutters of the mind are closed for those people. They do whatever is their faith says. So when you keep faith above the rationality, then the problem emerges. So this love jihad is another kind of problem, and you will find that whole of their concept goes around by changing the demographies of several regions. So, from Pakistan, if we begin, then we will find demographic changes in Kashmir. Then, in Indo-Nepal border, also we will find a demographic change. Then, further, we will find demographic change in parts of UP, and then Bengal, Assam, and running up to Bangladesh. So, this is a this is a plan of Jamaat-e-Islami, and they call it a Greater Bangladesh Plan. So it is at par with the same idea which Jinnah said, that they want a corridor from Pakistan to Bangladesh. So they are working till date on that same pattern. So we have to look into it at micro level, and we have to work on it. So that is the thing.
Gyanji, we will go into, can we, with your permission, go into the specifics of the bill? I have the bill copy with me. This is the copy of what UP and the Karnataka government has passed. So, can we go into the specifics and start discussing, Gyanji? Because we have, it's 1 hour. So, we'll do this for 15 minutes and we'll open the floor for the audience. There are a lot of audience wanting to ask you questions. So, we will do that. Can I proceed to discuss few aspects of the bill, Gyanji? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Because we will like to open the floor 45 minutes to all the audience. That's when there are a lot of questions and there'll be more points for you to therefore share. So what, Gyanji, what I would like to start off with this bill is the first accusation that is being brought upon by everybody. In fact, it started by the Archbishop in Bangalore. He went up to the Chief Minister and he made a petition, and then thereon the famous leftist and the rationalist and the so-called all kinds of Lutein medias, they are talking this is an infringement on the right of the individual. Now, is that right, or is this a false narrative being created, Gyanji?
And this is totally a false narrative. See, you are living in a secular country. You yourself say that India is a secular country. So, if there is a law which restricts you from converting those persons whom you convert by giving a rice bag, So what is the problem in this? By if you are very much keen to support those poor families, you can still support them. The question is on conversion. Why do you want to convert a person? This is just like labeling and branding your product. A poor person is not your product to sell in the market. You are trying to label that as Christian, as Muslim, and this and that. Why do you need that branding? That is the core issue. Why conversion is needed at all, and what the person would gain out of it. I think I don't think that anybody can tell that the person will gain anything out of that conversion. Today,
Gyanji, actually, usually the Christian missionaries usually gave an idea that actually, the Bible itself tells them to propagate their religion as much as possible and actually get people to this faith as much as possible. They usually give
so
that.
Bible is not the authority, na, in India. It is Constitution which is the authority. Bible may say 100 things, but should we run our country by way of Bible? They should run US and other countries by Bible. Why should India be run by Bible?
Exactly. And to say that we have an absolute freedom for faith, but the propagation is within the limits of the law. Am I right?
See, the thing is that an individual, a citizen of India, has got his own rational thinking, and he can decide what he wants to be. A pope, a bishop, or anything like that, any religious authority has no right to convince a particular person to change his faith. That is highly questionable. So this idea of that Bible allows it or Quran allows it, maybe it is a secular country. If you are saying that this is a secular country, then how can that be allowed at all?
Okay, so you're saying constitution is supreme. Though the religious books allow you to say as an individual to talk about your religion, and the constitution allows you to practice it, end of the day, the constitution also prohibits from infringing on others' right and including intellectual, moral, and social values. Am I right, Gyanji?
Exactly. The Constitution of India does not permit you to mislead a person by saying that you will go to Jannah or you will get 72 hoods, because this is beyond the scientific temperament. How can you say that Jesus is the Son of God? Do you have any evidence for that? So the issue is that the issue is that you cannot mislead a illiterate community by saying anything and everything in the name of Bible, in the name of Son of God, in the name of Messenger of Allah.
So, Gyanji, I am going to pick a very important point in the bill which has been vociferously being debated and being misled in a lot of these social rooms. They are talking about, in the first definition, it talks about allurement. In that, it is very clearly saying, of course, you can't give any gift, employment, free education in school and colleges. It also talks about better lifestyle and divine displeasure. Now, this divine displeasure apparently is about mocking your religion or making you feel that you're invalidated in front of your God. Apparently, Section 508 of Indian Penal Code also operates here. Could you just throw some light on this, Gyanji?
Sure. See, this any kind of allurement, even I tell you this section 505 of this IPC, although that also needs a sanction before prosecution, but it is a very much relevant section here, because you cannot create rumors. So if someone, for the sake of conversion, is creating rumors that you will be sent to hell, or you will be sent to dojak, or you will be burned for eternity, so these kind of rumors can lead that person to be prosecuted under 505. It is a criminal offense.
So,
And even then,
Sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
So these things they can be prosecuted as per law. How can you say, how can a particular person say that only and only the persons belonging to their faith will go to Jannah? This is highly questionable.
Okay, which means every person has who believes in their religion or whatever it is, each person has the equal opportunity of going to heaven and hell. But you cannot come around and tell those who are following religion B don't have the right to go to heaven, right?
You
That is
can be
divine discretion.
you cannot be the broker for God. You cannot be the broker for sending someone to heaven or hell. That's the thing.
So it certainly is it is a violation, and anybody who even who comes to your doorstep and says, including in printed form or verbally, can be certainly booked under 508 because it will be seen as a rumor. Am I right, Gyanji?
505. 505.
505. Okay, Gyanji. Now, there is going further. Now, that was one clarity that we wanted because that is where a lot of debates are happening in terms of this. The other thing this bill has very clearly talked about is the level of, in terms of if you go to section 5, it says punishment for contravention of provisions under section 3. Now, when you go back to section 3, it is very clearly talking about prohibition of conversion from one religion to another religion by misrepresentation, force, fraud, undue influence, coercion. Now, how do we interpret misrepresentation? Now, you have given examples of misrepresentation. Is it about the religion itself? For example, a person who is belonging to religion A, he may misrepresent his book and allure the other person to believe that my book or my religion is bigger and therefore come and get converted. Does the weight of misrepresentation sit there, or does the misrepresentation sit in the religion of the B? That, for example, I'll go tell B, your religion is not right, it has got these flaws. So, where does this misrepresentation sit in the bill, Gyanji?
See, misrepresentation of any kind, be it by saying that his religion is very much good, or be it by saying that your religion or the faith to which that guy belongs is not good. This there can be misrepresentation both ways. See, we have to draw this corollary from the Contract Act. Under Contract Act, there are 5 kinds of things which can cause a contract to be invalid or void. This is undue influence, coercion, misrepresentation, fraud, and forgery. So these kind of things can lead to rendering the contract void. So if someone is misrepresenting that by adopting their faith they will go to Jannah, or they will go to heaven, or they will do this, that, then it is a very much it is offense in the eye of law, actually. So misrepresentation can be interpreted both ways. That is the thing.
Thank you, Gyanji. Now we want to move to the most controversial part and the most debated part. With this bill has for the first time given a option for person competent to lodge a complaint or what they define as an objector, and it says that any converted person, his parents, brother, sister, or any other person who's related to him by blood, marriage, or adoption, or any other form of associated or colleague may lodge a complaint. Is this again any violation of individual right, Gyanji? Here there's a lot of accusations about this.
See, when we talk of religion, especially the conversion aspect of the religion, we will find that it is not individual cases. They go on a mission, they gonna go on a rampage, and they create mayhem in the society. So it is very much correct and justified to allow other persons to speak over the issue. Because if someone is in trouble and another guy or a missionary comes and he says that just I'll give you 1 lakh rupees and you convert to my faith, then obviously the other persons of the society, that is there is a rationale behind it if they object to it. Because what that particular person will gain out of that conversion? Nothing. How can the conversion to a particular faith can add to the well-being of that person? The answer is big no. So it is a social issue, and conversion is actually has caused a curse in this country. It has proved to be a curse in this country. So it has created a feeling of separatism in this country. So obviously it is a social issue, and everyone in the family, everyone in the community should be given the right to speak over it, because it is a social evil. You are living in a secular country, and you need to be secular in each and every aspect. That is the thing.
Gyanji, thank you. The next important point, Section 6, has critically brought a very important point in this bill. Marriage done for sole purpose of unlawful conversion or vice versa. Now, we have also been talking hugely about Lao Jihad and how women are being targeted for various purposes. Though today in clubhouses and all, the use of even Lao Jihad is seen as a no kind of a stigma, but it's a reality. Though the government does not acknowledge it, we are fighting to see if there is evidences. There are lots of cases getting reported. But does this bill address Love Jihad? Is it giving protection for people who fall under this kind of things that are happening around?
This section 6 is in the same fashion as Yogi government in Uttar Pradesh has done it. That what has happened is, this is very, I should say, welcome provision, because in my practice also what I see is that although for interfaith marriages there is a act of parliament by the name Special Marriage Act, and the procedure in that act is very much tough and cumbersome. So the people, the couple who are trying to get interfaith marriage, they hardly get their marriage solemnized by under this Special Marriage Act. What they do is that one of the parties would convert to another faith, and then they will undergo the process of marriage in that particular faith, and it creates a problem. And in my professional life, I have seen that majority of the people, they convert to Islam and Christianity. So what happens is that when a Hindu or a non-Muslim lady, she converts to Islam, then all her rights are wiped out, because she can be divorced by pronouncing triple talaq. She may have to undergo halala process, or she may have to go many kind of exploitations as they are available in this Muslim law, and same is the case with the Christian law also. So the thing is that after this law, especially the section 6, and it is at par with the UP law also. So this marriage by way of conversions should be stopped, and it is being stopped. That is a very welcome phenomenon. So if someone wants to have interfaith marriage, then he or she should solemnize it under the Special Marriage Act. That is the way out. And that divorce procedure and all these things in that Special Marriage Act is also a little bit tough. So that is a much more better option for interfaith marriages.
So, in a sense, either people have to comply with the Interfaith Marriage Act and stick by that. If they try to violate it, they'll get caught here under
Sure.
this bill, right? No,
Yes,
sir?
that is very much welcome provision.
Provision. So now there are three questions regarding the operation of this bill. It is talking about Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. It is to be it's like a marriage registration. You are filling those forms, both the person who's seeking the conversion and who's converting. They are placing it before the divisional magistrate and operationalized through the Tahsildar, and then the registration is accepted, saying that there is no coercion, there is no allurement, there is no violation of this bill. Could you just throw a minute or two on this, sir, how it is operating and what are the ways in which it will be done? Though the law is not fully in, but just on the framework, from your vast experience of practicing this.
See, the thing is that this conversion, the procedure of conversion, the law has provided a kind of protection to the deprived section of the society. they will have to take permission from the district magistrate, and it is also a very much welcome measure, because if you are converting whole of the community, whole of the mohalla, whole of the colony to one faith, how come that you are influencing each and every person of that particular community? There should be some allurement or something like that. And if the district magistrate, he or she finds that there is some allurement, then cases can be registered against these missionaries and all these people. So this provides a kind of protection that a permission should be taken from the concerned district magistrate, and these kinds of permissions are already there with regard to other laws of the land also. For example, uh, there are laws in certain states where if the scheduled caste community person, he wants to sell his agricultural land, then he will have to the purchaser will have to take permission from the district magistrate. This kind of law provides a protection to the the deprived section of the society. So in the same fashion, this notice to the for conversion to the district magistrate, it is a welcome measure, and the district magistrate can go ahead if he finds anything like allurement or anything like that against the offender missionaries or these people.
How is that identified, Gyanji? How will this be spotted? Or if somebody has to spot as a procedure level, how does a magistrate? Is there a personal investigation done? Will these people be called into forum? How does this work, Gyanji?
Generally, when you move this application before the district magistrate, then he will call a report from his staff, and the staff say at SDM level, these are Kanun goes, and there are officers concerned, and they will give a report. He calls a report, and if he or that particular officer, he gives a report that there are allurements or there are something like that, then obviously they will face the music.
And again, Gyanji, the same point, again and again, it is being said it's an infringement of my right. Why should I go and put an application in front of a district magistrate for converting my religion? Again, this
No,
accusation.
no, no. This is the kind of argument where, as I give the example of selling a land by scheduled caste community. So they have to first get the permission from the district magistrate, because they are believed to be the deprived section of the society. So a deprived section is competent to get a special protection from the state. So if you are converting a particular community or a particular person, and the district magistrate concerned, he or she wants to investigate or inquire about the veracity in that conversion issue, that whether it is without allurement or without any kind of force, then what is wrong in it? How are you worried?
Uh,
That is the thing, no?
so, Ravishankar ji, if you want to open the floor up.
Definitely. I'll make the announcements first. Generally, we will open up the hand raising for asking questions. The people, I mean, we'll take 5 people at a time, and the people, please ask your questions. Once your questions are answered, you will be sent back to the audience, which we usually do. And kindly make your questions brief. Try to ask the question first and give the background, and try to finish it in 30 seconds or 1 minute. Also, in the meantime, kindly follow our rooms, Kaayaloram, Ashtamudi Theeram, Fun Time for You, and Loud Voice. Also, kindly follow the moderators. While we open up a room with the guests and all, we ping all our followers. So this would help us actually in informing you that we have started a session. So kindly follow the moderators, please. People have started to come up. And as I have mentioned, kindly ask the question briefly, and possibly within the 30 seconds, and try to finish it in a minute. Ask the question first, and then the background. That would help in Gyanji to answer them. And if you have a second question, do ask it as a follow-up question. Unless actually no, we might miss actually what was the second question as he is answering. So the first in line is, I am sorry. You can ask your question.
Sir, good evening, sir. Ganji, I have two questions to ask. First one is related to this law. The one father which I have spoken, he has mentioned one problem that when this law comes in picture, maybe this law can be misused. So in such a case, even though maybe he has not been converted, but that the person may try to use this law to demoralize a Christian institution. So in that case, how what a priest can do in this case, and how can he help if such type of false allegation comes against him? And my second question is that when this law comes into picture, for example, I have my two cousins got married to a non-Christian. So one person got converted into the husband's religion, whereas another person brought that person, her husband, into her belief. So in this case, when a person comes, if a Christian lady thinks that I want my lover to be converted into my belief so that we can have a good life, so is there any problem with this new law which passed by Karnataka government? So this is the only two questions. I think you understood my question, sir.
Yeah, of course. See, so far as this, if you are having a interfaith marriage, then obviously you need to follow the secular constitution of this country. You cannot convert simply for the sake of marriage. That is questionable. So why a person will convert to another faith if he or she is solemnizing a marriage with other faith person? So the thing is that the Constitution of India permits interfaith marriage by way of a special marriage act. So if any interfaith person he wants to get his marriage done, then he can get it solemnized under a special marriage act. Why this faith issue comes into picture if he is really in love? That is the core issue. Then second, you said that these Christians, they can be targeted. The issue is not targeting. Why the Christians would be targeted? What these Christians will do, or bishop or pope will do, that they will be targeted? And what is the need for them to convert other persons? Nobody is visiting their churches from other communities. So how can they be targeted? They can be questioned only and only if they are doing in some illegal activities in the area. So obviously they will be questioned for that by the authorities.
Sir, I got your point, but the thing here, what the first question were mentioned, that one father has shared his experience, that one person who was working in school management.
See, every law of the land has two
So,
aspects. It can be used and it can be misused. Every law, be it dowry law, be it any other law of the land, every law of the land has the option of being used and misused. So if someone says that this law is being misused against me or my community, that does not mean that law should not function. Law has to function. The person concerned can raise his arguments before the authorities that I was not doing these things. That's all.
okay, thank you, sir.
I hope
Yeah,
it's been answered. I hope.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ganji, sir. I'm going down, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Before we go to the next questioner, I would like to inform. I will say that in Malayalam. താഴെ ഇരിക്കുന്നവർക്ക് ആർക്കെങ്കിലും മലയാളത്തിൽ വന്ന് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് തീർത്തും സ്വീകാര്യമാണ്. ഞാൻ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റ് ചെയ്തോളാം. If anybody would like to ask a question in Malayalam, you can please do come up. I will translate it for you to ask the question to Gyanji. So it shouldn't be a problem that you want to ask the question in Malayalam. I would translate it. Okay. BJP is the next person in line for asking the question. Please ask.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, Gyanji, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, sir, I needed to ask you. I was just going through a small problem in the sense that there is a procession going on for the last from yesterday and will happen today evening also, which means that it's a procession of a worship area where the entire community goes around that place of worship. But during that time, they have a big loudspeaker that continues to ring the bells for almost 2 hours. And what happens, sir? All the elderly people nearby who must be from the same community doesn't react. But then I needed to react, even though could be of my community, because I have a pet dog in my house, and I see in the association lot of cats and dogs are missing as to last night. So looking at all this, I talked actually with the head of that of the place, but then I didn't get a good response. So my question to you, Advocate Ji, is that is there in when we put in the generators for data center, we attenuate it to 50 to 60 dB. So as a is there not an attenuation level which they have to maintain even though they are using loudspeakers? And sir, will there be in the near future the ban of these loudspeakers for all institutions overruling because the fundamental right of peaceness is getting disturbed? So your answers for that, sir. Thank you.
You can call the police. They will take care of that. There is ruling of Supreme Court that it cannot go beyond a particular decibel. So you can call the police and they will take care of that. There's already law of the land.
Acha. Okay, sir.
Mm, Noise pollution.
And then, sir, there will cannot be a ruling from the Supreme Court banning all religions from using
It is
loudspeakers that are.
already banned. It is already banned. There are rulings from the Supreme Court already.
Then why
But
it is being used?
for this particular case, you can approach the High Court of Kerala also, asking them for the direction in this particular case.
Okay, sir. Okay.
But the shortest way out is that you inform the police, local police, and they will take care of that. If police doesn't function, then you can challenge it in the High Court.
That means an affidavit I need to.
Writ petition would be filed in the High Court.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Understood. I hope BJP's question is answered. The next in line is Vidya Madam. Vidya Madam, you can ask your question.
Thank you, Ravi. Namaste, Gyanji. Very good evening to you.
Namaste.
Yeah, Gyanji, this question is regarding a personal problem which a distant friend of mine had faced quite a few years ago. In the sense, she belongs to what do you say, a well-to-do family, jewelers family. I wouldn't want to use the name of the family as such, but unfortunately for her, she got married to a particular community whereby she didn't realize that that person was not of the same community as hers. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. And she had a child in that marriage. I think the last time I remember was the child was 5 years old, and unfortunately for her, she was not able to continue with the marriage because of a lot of issues, where she even realized that her husband was going in for a second and a third marriage as well, wedding as well, and she was not informed of the same, and she was removed from that family. Luckily for her, her own family, despite facing a lot of humiliation from and a lot of ridicule from people around, they were able to take her back in, and she was well supported. But the saddest thing was she ended up losing her daughter, and she was not in a position to go claim the child back. At that point of time, I think when she lost her child, the child must have been around 3 or 4, and despite the mother being the primary caretaker, she was not in a position to take claim of her child. So in such situations, how do women who are trapped in such kind of intercaste marriages, what would be their what law, what would give them the strength to take possession of their child back? Yeah.
Did
I
she
hope.
convert? Did she convert?
I think at that point of time, I think she was. I don't know if she went into full conversion, but I think she was made to wear their particular dresses and all that. So I do not know if there was.
See. There is a there you go through the Nikanama if she has got at all. One thing. So
Okay.
in Nikanama you find that what kind of meher is written there. Meher means it is the amount which is to be paid to the Muslim wife, in case of divorce. So the thing is that generally these Muslims, when they marry non-Muslim ladies, they
Okay.
don't pay much meher. It is meher fatmi, some 50,000, 5,000 or 2,000 rupees.
Uh-huh.
So that is the problem. But the way out for such cruelties is that in the lady, she can get registered a FIR under
Okay.
498A of
Okay.
IPC.
Okay.
So that is the way out.
I don't think she is worried about the alimony or the meher. She is more concerned about getting her daughter back, which I think they didn't allow her to take the child back.
So
So
get registered a FIR under 498A for and even 406 because you can say that such and such an amount or dowry has been consumed by these husband and all those people. So that is the way out. And then for the girl, for the daughter, she can also file a case for custody of the child.
okay, can that be done even after 10 years after this issue
Of
has
course, of
happened?
course. What is the age of the child?
Now the child would be definitely around 16, because when I met this lady after a long time, that at that point of time the child was 5 and she did not have custody of her, and she was mentioning that it was not easy for her to get the child back.
So see, the problem is that after 18 years, the child will be set free. Means she cannot be given the custody.
Right.
This father or mother, none of them would get the custody. She will be free because she will get measure.
Okay.
So 2
Okay.
years I will at least be consumed in the case itself. So
Okay.
there's no. It would be a futile exercise. But
Okay.
this lady, she can file a case FIR
Okay.
under 498A IPC.
Under 498. Okay. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Gyanji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And next is actually Devabhumi. Devabhumi, you can ask your question.
Thank you, Raviji. Namaste, Gyanji, and all moderators and everyone on the panel. Before I ask my question, I would like to say thanks to thanks to all of you. You are conducting this room in a very, very disciplined manner. Gyanji, namaste. My question is,
Namaste.
usually what we see in our closed society.
Devji, you need to raise your voice a little bit. You're not very audible.
Okay. Is it okay?
Better now.
Yeah. Okay. So, Gyanji, usually what we see among our close-knit societies or maybe in our neighborhoods, there are sometimes some occasions where people would try to convert people, whether it is an act of allurement or it is forceful. So it may be a matter between the two adult individuals, but the third person, if he realizes that there is a nefarious design going behind it, is it possible that a third person goes and speaks to somebody, or maybe goes to some law agency, or maybe raises a complaint, if the second person doesn't even realize that he is being allured, or he is being converted to some other faith? Is it possible that a third person can take some action against it?
Yes, of course. That's why I told. See, so far as these, I told just a few minutes back that the states can be classified in two categories. Actually, there are a few states where this anti-conversion law is there. Some 9 states are there, but apart from these states, at other places, you can approach the local police authorities and ask for a case to be registered under 505, 153A, and 295A. And these, but for that, you will need you will need assistance from some local lawyer, so that the law can be interpreted in that manner as we want.
And,
So that can be done.
and I also need approval of the person whom I think I'm in favor of.
Not necessary. Not
Okay.
necessary. The lawyer will take care of that.
He will take care of. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Gyanji. Again, to the audience, I'm just reminding that actually now this session would be uploaded in YouTube, and our YouTube channel is being pinned on the top. It's Kaayaloram. Kindly follow them, and also follow the moderators so that I can ping you the next time actually we start a room. We'll be running rooms with the guests actually often, usually on the weekends. And please do follow us so that actually we can inform you while we start them. All right. Next in line is Ami. You can ask your question. Sorry, it is Ismail.
Mr. Ismail.
It's my mistake, Ismail. Apologies.
Yes.
Kindly ask your question.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, Mr. Gyan has explained a lot of things about this new law, but he didn't explain as an adult individual, if any person intend to change his faith, adult person, without any allurement, without any kind of inducement, any kind of, forced conversion, if an individual decide that I am going to change my faith, I have decided that I am leaving my existing faith, I'm going to a new faith, nobody is influencing, he himself decides, then he has to go through all these formalities which we are seeing in this present law in Karnataka. Number one. Number two, I see lot of people being changed to a new faith, especially in southern Tamil Nadu. They did not change their name, they did not change anything, but they have changed their faith. That is same thing is happening in parts of Andhra Pradesh also. They don't go to any authority, they don't go anywhere, but they change their faith. What is the new law? How the new law will be effective in this kind of situations? Two questions I asked. Thank you.
See, I told that the thing is that you said that a person wants to convert his faith without any allurement and anything like that. The thing is that if you go through the demographic changes in India, you will find that certain spots, certain areas, they have got converted. So the effect of a particular person's rational or his enlightenment or anything like that, which causes him to convert to another faith, is rarely seen. It is a missionary activity, and we find that in Nagaland, Mizoram, and many other parts of the country, they have been converted to other faiths. So it is a hypothetical situation. Anyhow, so far as this individual enlightenment or this amendment is concerned, I should say that the Supreme Court of India, it said that freedom of religion does not mean that right to convert. So if I play a devil's advocate, I would ask that why can't a Hindu visit a mosque or a church and perform puja there if all religions are equal? So or vice versa. So the thing is that this why there needs to be a labeling of human beings in the form of Christians or Muslims or Hindus or anything like that. What is the need of that? How would a particular person, what a particular person will gain out of it? Nothing, I think. So the thing is that this law, it provides the kind of protection or shield, especially to the deprived sections of the society who can be influenced and who can be converted for rice bags. So we have witnessed that in past, and it is continuing like that. So the person who is not interested in influencing other persons to convert, at least he should not be bothered about it. So it is law of the land to protect the communities, to protect the Indian society. That is it. And second, your issue was, what was the issue? I forgot.
I'll just recap,
I
Gyanji.
said if I have seen many number of people.
Acha, acha, yes. You said that if someone changes his faith and he is not changing his officially he is not converting. See, I tell you that these are called crypto Christians or crypto interfaith people. So they have existed in the society. See the kind of society we live in India, and for centuries we have witnessed that several faiths, several ideas, several sects emerged, and they submerged with the passage of time. There were faiths within the Hindu community also, that thousands of faiths emerged, thousands of sects emerged, and they wiped out with the passage of time. So it has happened throughout centuries, and today you see that there are certain SC community people who say that they are both, but they are having SC certificates, and after two or three generations, maybe that they are again Hindus. So the kind of religion or kind of culture we live in this country is very much plural, and those things that a particular person is has adopted a particular kind of faith, and he is not changing his name and everything like that, then those kind time will only be the reply to that, proper reply to that.
Ganji, if I may just start, I think Ismail's question was, if a person is converting on his own will without allurement, does that person have to go through the same process of filing the application? That is one
Sure,
key part that he asked.
sure, he should. See, I gave you the example now. If a scheduled caste community person, he wants to sell his land, then there are laws in this country where this the purchaser of the land, he will have to get the permission from the district magistrate that I want to purchase the land of this guy. So the deprived section of the society, or this poor section of the society, they are being protected by the Constitution of India.
It's
I'm
clear.
not convinced. I'm not convinced. Definitely, I'm not convinced. First of all, Mr. Gyan told me, why should a person change his faith? Why he has to label himself to a Christian, Muslim, or Hindu? It's the individual choice.
It's Ismail.
No. How
Ismail,
can it
just a
be an
second.
individual choice in secular country? See, if India is at all a secular country, you need to identify yourself as a secular, not as a Hindu, Christian, or something like that.
Ismail, like I had
How
explained before,
should religion be permitted in a secular country at all? That is the core issue.
yep, I think Ismail I had explained before. We can ask the question and he would give his opinion. You can't actually be pressurizing to actually get the answer that you expect. In any case, actually, we would move on to the next speaker, next questioner. That's Ami. You can ask your question.
Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so my question was actually, if it's a bit off topic, please, I do apologize in advance. But the question that I have is that India being the biggest democracy in the world, why is it still relevant that we have different laws based on different religions? Like, or going to change? That is my question. Thank you.
See, Article 44 of the Constitution, in the Directive Principle of State Policies chapter, especially asked the states that states should endeavor to make a uniform civil code. But unfortunately, we have not been successful to enact a uniform civil code in this country because of this freedom of religion issue. So now the governments are doing their bit to bring that uniform civil code in one way or the other, and for that this religion has to be restricted. So this is one of the way out to restrict the religion, the influence of religion in the society. Once this conversion aspects goes, or this labeling of human beings in the name of religion goes, then obviously we will have a way ahead towards the uniform civil code.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ami. Next is Pandalbani. You can ask your question.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. See, I need support in translation. ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ ചോദിക്കാം, ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യണം.
തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ചോദിച്ചോളൂ.
എനിക്കൊരു 3 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണുള്ളത്. ഒന്ന്
ഒന്നൊന്നായി ചോദിക്കാം.
ഓക്കെ. ആദ്യത്തെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ കോമൺ മാനിന് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈസി ആയിട്ട് ഇത്തരം ലാബ് ഫെസിലിറ്റീസ് കൂടുതൽ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകളില്ലാതെ നമുക്ക് ആക്സസ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുന്നത്? അതായത് കൂടുതൽ ടൈമും കൂടുതൽ മണിയും സ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാതെ നമുക്ക് ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ എങ്ങനെ ഇൻവോൾവ് ആവാം?
എത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് കൺവേർഷൻ അഗൈൻസ്റ്റ് കൺവേർഷൻ ആണോ?
കൺവേർഷൻ, അതിന്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെ ഞാൻ സെക്കൻഡ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കൂടെ ചോദിക്കാം. രണ്ടും കൂടെ ഏറെക്കുറെ കണക്റ്റഡ് ആണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഇൻസിഡന്റ് കണ്ടു നമ്മൾ, അതായത് ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആയിട്ട് ഇപ്പം ഏതെങ്കിലും റിമോട്ടായിട്ട് ഒരു കൺവേർഷൻ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് കണ്ടു, ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു റൂമിലോ അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഇത് കൺവേർഷൻ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് കാണുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കത് അനോണിമസ് ആയിട്ട് എങ്ങനെ ഇൻഫോം ചെയ്യാം? ഈവൻ കർണാടകത്തിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ലാ ഉണ്ട്, ലാ ഇല്ലാത്ത സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് കണ്ടാൽ നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ ഇൻഫോം ചെയ്യാം? ഇതാണ് 2 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യങ്ങൾ. മൂന്നാമത്തെ ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാൻ പറയാം.
ശരി. ആദ്യത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ സാധാരണക്കാരന് എങ്ങനെ നിയമത്തിന്റെ പരിരക്ഷ നേടാം അല്ലേ?
അല്ല, ഇനി ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ ഇൻവോൾവ് ആവാം, കൂടുതൽ സമയവും ക്യാഷും നമുക്ക് കളയാതെ എങ്ങനെ ഇത്തരം ഫെസിലിറ്റീസ് നമുക്ക് ആക്സസ് ചെയ്യാം,
യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ചെയ്യാം.
അതാണ്. രണ്ടാമത് അനോണിമസ് ആയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഇത്തരം ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് എവിടെയെങ്കിലും കണ്ടാൽ നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ അതോറിറ്റിയിൽ ഇൻഫോം
ഇൻഫോം
ചെയ്യാം,
ചെയ്യാം.
ഈവൻ കർണാടകയ്ക്ക് പുറത്തുള്ള സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ പോലും.
ശരി. Gyanji,
Anonymous.
he has three questions, and he has asked the first two, and he would ask the third one later. So the first question that he had asked is how a common man can access the law or utilize the law in without actually losing so much money and all against actually conversion and other activities, similar activities. And the second question he asked is പന്ത്രണ്ട് ഒന്നുകൂടി പറയൂ.
How will he? How
അതായത്
can
നമ്മളൊരു
somebody?
ഇൻസിഡന്റ് കണ്ടു, ഒരു
Okay,
ഒരു
yeah,
പള്ളി
understood.
നടന്നു.
How can we inform anonymously if we have witnessed a conversion activity to the authorities anonymously?
So far as this costly aspect of law is concerned, it is a problem, but still, in courts nowadays we are having legal aid society from the side of government only, and there you can get legal assistance. It is available for lower income group and middle income group also. So you can approach there, and you can get the assistance from legal assistance there. Another thing is that anonymously, if you want to work in this field, then you will need to contact and remain attached to certain organizations which are already functioning in these aspects. So you can contact the leaders and all those people, and they can take care of the things.
Can you name one or two organizations that work in that manner?
Dharma Jagran Manch. It's a prakalp of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. It works on that aspect, conversion aspect only.
Understood. പന്തൽപ്പണിക്ക് ഇനി മൂന്നാമത്തെ ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കാം.
അതായത് അടുത്ത ചോദ്യം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പൊ ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്തിരുന്നിട്ട് ഇന്ത്യയിലുള്ള ആൾക്കാരെ കൂട്ടി ഓൺലൈനിലൂടെ ഈ കൺവേർഷൻ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് നടത്തുക. അതായത് ഒന്നും അറിഞ്ഞൂടാത്ത ആൾക്കാരെ പല പല ജിമുക്കുകൾ കാണിച്ച് ഓൺലൈൻ, അവർ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരായിരുന്നിരിക്കാം, അവർ ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്തിരുന്ന് പല പല മീഡിയാസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ലൈക്ക് സൂം ഓർ അതർ സിമിലർ മീഡിയാസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്തിരുന്ന് ഇവിടെ ഇന്ത്യയെ വിഭജിക്കുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള പ്രീച്ചിങ് നടത്തുക. അപ്പൊ ഇത്തരം നടപടികൾ ഇതിനെതിരായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ നടപടികൾ എടുക്കാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും?
നല്ല ചോദ്യമാണ്. Gyanji, what he is asking is, there are a lot of people actually who is sitting outside India and they preach religion and trying to convert people through mediums such as Zoom and Teams and other such platforms. And how can actually we go against, as per law, against these people who are sitting outside India and converting people using the Zoom and Teams and all those mediums?
You can inform the local police, and cyber cells of the police are there, and they can take care of that also. And if you want to remain anonymous, then also the Dharma Jagran Manch and many other organizations, Bajrang Dal and all these people, they are very much cautious about these things, and they will work on that.
Understood. I think actually in that way we can block such activities going on. But is it possible to have that people sitting outside prosecuted?
It is a little bit tough process, but still, if we pursue the things, then law will take its own course. Especially to summon a person from abroad, it's a little bit tough process. But the cyber cell of the police, if it feels that some illegal activities is taking place, then obviously those websites and those links can be blocked.
Understood. I hope actually your question is answered, Pandarbani.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Santosh is in line for the question next. Santosh, please do ask.
Yeah, thank you, Ravishankar. Thank you, Mr. Gyan, for giving this opportunity.
Your voice is a bit low.
Yeah,
if you can,
I have this. I have the question regarding the recently proposed Karnataka religious conversion or religious conversion freedom bill, the proposed bill. In that, 2 points. To me, it felt like a gray area. One is a mass conversion. Two or above people get converted, it will be considered as mass conversion, and it is punishable by offense. So, if a family or if a husband and wife wanted to convert, when this will be effective, will it be like, if me and my wife has to convert, myself has to convert today, and she has to convert tomorrow? Is that the way it is going to be implemented? That is my first question. That's just a technical, yeah, the way how it is going to implement. If you have any idea on that, you can enlighten me on that. Should I ask my second question after that, or now it's Ravishankar?
You can continue.
Okay. The second question is about the burden of proof in the same bill. See, it says that the burden of proof will be with the person who have converted, whether it is a padri or bishop or a pujari or pandit or mullah or maulavi. So when they say burden of proof, if they have made an official formal conversion, like as per the bill has been suggested, they have to keep those records as proof. Is that what it means? Or is it like, if I can just say that, okay, this man have converted me and unofficially or something like that, then also he has to show that he has not done it. So that burden of proof area, when I read that bill, it is a gray area for me. Yeah, these are my 2 points.
See, in normal course, burden of proof is always on the prosecution, means the burden of prosecutes. But in exceptional cases, this burden of proof is shifted on the person accused of the crime. So here the burden of proof has been shifted to the person who is effecting this conversion by way of misrepresentation, force, and influence, coercion, allurement, and all these things. So there is nothing wrong in it, because if there is some missionary or someone who is involved in the act of conversion, then he should take the burden on his shoulders only. So why shouldn't he bears the burden of proving the fact before the court that it was not by way of allurement, or it was not by way of misrepresentation or force or anything like that? A person who is so much involved in the process of this conversion, and that he is leaving everything aside, and he is devoting through all his life in converting the people, then at least he should be made to ask as to what he allures the people, in what way he allures, or how this criminal liability should be absolved from him. So that is the core issue. So there's nothing wrong in it. And second thing, you said that if today I convert, then day after tomorrow my wife converts. See, it is the it will lead to multiple offenses, in the sense that law of the land is that for 3 offenses in a year, 1 FIR can be registered, and so on and so forth. So if you are playing with the law, that you want to mislead the people or mislead the authorities by in one way or the other, then obviously the person is going to face the music.
Santosh, I hope actually that answers your question.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Santosh. Sunilji, please ask your question.
Yes, thank you. Gyanji, namaskar. I hope you're well. Good to see you
Namaskar,
again.
Sunilji.
Good to see you in a Kerala room again with such an
Good
important.
to see you too.
So, Gyanji, my question is: see, in the Pew Research, findings recently on religious tolerance in India, demonstrated a very key fact that we all exist in a very cohesive, mutually respecting society, but at the same time, we do have clear fences between our faiths, as far as society is concerned, where we respect, we accept, but we really don't tolerate interference, right, from each other, and that's healthy in a sense. In Pew Research, actually, in that finding, they didn't call it as a negative, but they call it as a positive. That's kind of the underpinnings of a good, healthy society, where we respect each other, but we don't necessarily force each other to accept each other's religion. But on the other hand, if you see some of the US reports, US CIRF reports, on religious freedom, which are very politically motivated. I'm not saying Pew is healthy, clean, but this is clearly political. from the UCRF, they always project the minority communities. First, they project the minority communities as just Christians and Muslims, almost like there is nobody else who exists as minority. You have Jains, you have Buddhists, you have several other faiths, Baha'is, who are who are far more fractional than these two second largest majorities, right? So in that sense, you know. The UCR report always talks about atrocities against these two faiths, people practicing these two faiths, and it's very clear on the ground why that's happening, because they do force themselves on the rest of the community, right? Be it Hindu or Jain or whomever, they do force their faiths on them. So that can lead to antisocial activity, that can lead to anti-religious or riots. It has happened before, and when laws like this, come into effect, those laws are, I think, trying to protect, and prevent, while protecting the freedom to practice, also protecting the people from, preventing those who are trying to force themselves on others, from doing so, right? So I think, yeah, the process makes it, not tedious, like a two-step process instead of just a one step where I walk in and try to convert a person. Now that other person has to, there is a process for it. So I wanted to, my question is, you know why should anyone who is converting feel it is such a tedious process just to go file, you know file a statement, or put in a request, before they do? What is the, it's like they made a change in their, religion or a faith. They're going to live with it for a long time. How's a month or two going to matter? And why is this even an issue, is my question, Ganji. And where is this issue coming from? Who are the people, that is really bringing them up? And I ask this because some Maoist, Naxalite, urban Naxal lawyers, you know, especially the Gonsalves guy from Mumbai, is sitting with archbishops and trying to defend this, right? So my question is, like, who are these people who are taking offense to this law, and why is it such a big deal? Are the Jain community, are the Buddhist community coming up and protesting against this law? Is also an additional question. Thank you.
See, the thing is that when we see this conversion in Indian context, we will find that hardly 2% or 5% of the population converted. They are converting by their own wishes or by their own studies and all these things. Actually, the conversion in India is going on rice-bags level. The people are being converted by saying that the scheduled tribes, they are not Hindus, so they should get converted. By telling them that they are not these northeastern people, they belong to a different race, therefore they should be converted. Means a particular Hindu dharma, it is being targeted for decades and centuries to convert people, and the people who have been converted are getting nothing. They are simply labeled as Christians, and in the passage of time, uh, the separatist tendency evolves there, and they don't identify themselves with the Indian civilization, the Indian ethos, with the Indian culture. So when this law is being enacted by a assembly or by parliament, what the government of the day has to see is that the social transformations uh, which are being taking place in this country, should the government of the day check that or not? The answer is big yes, because any country, be it Western country or any other country, we will find that it is the duty of the government to preserve the culture and cultural ethos of a country. Even the directive principles of state policies talk about it. So, if today we want to protect the tricolor of this nation, then we will have to plan accordingly. We will have to make laws accordingly. We have to see that the forces which are against Vande Mataram, which are against Tricolor, which are against Jangan Mana, they should be checked. Now I ask myself that why this Vande Mataram is objected by a particular community, or why this Tricolor is being objected in Kashmir, because they don't identify themselves with the Indian ethos, with the Bharatiya ethos. So that is the problem. So the government of the day has checked the mass conversion by bringing this law of the land, and it is very much necessary because the people who are targets of this conversion, they are nowhere aware of what they are doing. Either they are getting converted due to this kind of allurements, or for example, recently we see in Punjab there is mass scale conversion there, and people are getting visas for Canada simply for converting. So these are the things. So this law of the land to check the social uh, fabric of this nation, it is very much necessary and it needs to be done. And what was the second question you said?
No, you answered that, G. I think that's really, how, why should anybody protest, an additional step,
So the protest is that those are the same people who will object to the conversion or ghar wapsi of a particular person if he converts from Christianity to Hinduism. Those are the same persons. So they are very much vocal about ghar wapsi, and when someone converts themselves to Christianity, then they are very much they will welcome that. So this hypocrisy is also the problem. So that is why when I begin my talk here, I said that this freedom of religion, this is being misused, and that is our topic today. That this freedom of religion, which is there in part 3rd of the Constitution, this is being misused, and it is being misused to the extent that they want to disintegrate this country. So the beautiful, my submission always is that this beautiful diversity of this country cannot be allowed to turn into the disintegration of this country. That is the thing.
Thank you, Ganji.
Thank you, Angie. I think we have reached the time limit. We have crossed 2 hours. And at this point, actually, we can conclude this session. It's been a really informative session, and we have covered a lot of points actually through constitution, the bills, and the laws behind actually the conversion activities and all that. And I would like to thank actually Gyanji for being here. It's been a great pleasure. And I would
Thank you.
call Sujit Ji for conclusion. Sujit Ji, actually, I think actually his connection is lost. Yeah, Sujit Ji, you are back.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is this app freezes if I don't use it. So thank you very much, Gyanji. In fact, the objective of the session was very clearly to get a perspective in terms of two critical points which you have explained. The Article 25 to 30, how that is being misused very clearly, smartly for religious conversions, exploiting the gateways that they have in terms of propagating, claiming that they have the right to propagate because their specific religions gives them a freedom. Therefore, saying that if my religion can give me, my book can say that I can go and preach, or the book says that I have to preach, but then the law also allows me. So how can you stop me? Are you not infringing on my right? What you very clearly pointed out is that you can talk as much as you want, as long as one, you don't infringe in the other person's right, because the constitution overrules these books. The books have certain principles that is only relevant to the follower of that book, but it is not bound by the constitution. And India is not a theological country, society. We are governed, we are a constitutional supremacy. Therefore constitution supremes right, therefore it has to be followed that way, number one. Number two, you also have explained in terms of this bill, it's very clear it's protection and not so much as anti-conversion. However,
and we had a very successful session, as in terms of we covered a lot of topics, as Sujitji has mentioned, and we had very good questions that coming from the audience. And at this point, actually, we can conclude, and we thank all the audience actually who came here to listen to us, as well as the questioners. And especially, I would like to thank Gyanji for being here, and the moderators for doing a wonderful job. Thank you very much. I'm ending this session. Vande Mataram.
Thank you. Vande Mataram.